Wow, that was funny. Leaders unwilling to change or develop themselves to overtly model the organization changes they are asking of their employees, deciding on a strategic direction for change, and then leaders remain remote from the change. Sometimes called distance transformation, leaving the actual change process to less motivated or untrained employees. Insufficient sponsorship from senior leaders. Insufficient or confusing communication. Under communicating the vision. Under communicating the vision by a factor of 10. The organization is unclear about the reasons for the change and the overall objectives for the change, creating resistance by using only top-down communications to announce change, not channeling people's reactions to the announcement in constructive ways, and not engaging employees in shaping the future of the organization. Despite the substantial literature and models available, all agree that organizations continue to struggle with large-scale change initiatives. The first category centers on wow. The first category centers on failing to establish a compelling vision. This is best stated by Contra. Without a clear vision to guide the complicated and difficult efforts of a large-scale change project, confusion can set in. Individuals may become unmotivated, and resistance can gain a foothold. As many change management practitioners have experienced. A compelling vision is often the motivator for change, even when there is much uncertainty on how best to execute the change effort. Well, to illustrate, one of our clients, a global pharmaceutical company, recognized the confluence of factors altering healthcare delivery and decisions. As part of a major transformation effort, leaders created a compelling vision to double sales and profitability over a 5-year period. This vision motivated leaders and employees to engage in various large-scale change initiatives that included reorganization, culture transformation, and process improvement. We will return to this case study again. The second category relates to individual belief and the importance of achieving buy-in and acceptance of the change effort if an individual does not see or share the organization's vision and rationale for the changes. The individual can be a source of resistance. Resistance often reflects that individuals and teams are more comfortable with the current state than they are with the proposed changes. The third category focuses on the importance of effective planning and execution of the change effort. This category contains the greatest number of demonstrating that many different types of planning and execution failures can occur. A common organizational mistake is taking the time to announce and explain the change effort and rationale, but doing little to provide direction to sustain the change effort and address its impact over time. Another common mistake is not measuring progress to enable course corrections. The fourth category includes the many issues related to change leadership, where leaders have inadequate guidance on their role in driving change. This trickles down to a lack of support from their managers. This is partially due This is partially due to the fact that organizations are not giving full accountability to leadership at all levels to follow the plan accordingly. The final category includes concerns about insufficient or confusing communication. Several best practices emerge in this category, including the creation of a comprehensive communications strategy whereby the focus is to clearly convey the vision for change and develop an effective communications plan. Most individuals get their cues on how to act from their direct manager. Therefore, the manager's communication and reinforcement of the rationale for change is critical to success. Putting it all together, diagnosing outstanding needs. Change is hard work, but gaps emerge when the change models are examined against the categorized reported reasons for organizational change failure. Oh, what the? What? Bridges, Shane's, and Potter's models provide guidance to avoid the first, second, third, and fifth change failure categories. For the first category, they all mention the importance of creating a compelling vision to drive change. For the second category, Bridges and Shane's models address individuals' beliefs and how to guide others to change. For the third category, Cotter's steps are meant to provide an execution roadmap for large-scale change. Finally, for the fifth category, Cotter also highlights the importance of communication and the perils of miscommunication. None of these three leading experts emphasize the importance of properly preparing leaders or managers to guide individuals and teams through the transition, which is part of the fourth category. In Table 2, Cotter himself acknowledges this gap, calling for greater emphasis on change leadership, noting that almost nobody is very good at it. Therefore, the first outstanding need that emerges from this review is specific guidance and preparation for leaders at all levels of the organization. The second outstanding need pertains to changing planning and execution. Evidence shows that change planning and execution remains the most problematic area for organizations. This clearly demonstrates that organizations should and would benefit greatly from additional guidance in this area. Change execution principles to address outstanding needs. Whoa. Now we will look at the 5 principles. Principles of large-scale change implementation. That was funny. Wait just a second. Dude, imagine if I accidentally downloaded this and it was from like 2013. No, it says 2017 right here. Principles of large-scale change implementation. This table summarizes 5 key principles required for successful organizational change. Okay. Change takes place more effectively when worked at 3 levels: organizational, team, and individual. Change is adopted by connecting individual beliefs to organizational results. Change requires a planned and disciplined implementation cascade. Change is accelerated by equipping leaders to lead through the transition. Change implementation calls for frequent and ongoing communication and calibration. How does calibrate? Working with hundreds of large and small organizations across all 4 types of change: structural, cost-cutting, processing, cultural. 5 principles are offered to ensure successful large-scale change implementation. Tested and validated. These principles address the change failure categories and position an organization for successful large-scale change execution. There are 2 phases to execution planning. So there are 2 phases to execution planning. What? First, leaders need to create an effective change strategy. First, leaders need to create an effective change strategy by making key decisions about what is changing, why it is changing, and who needs to be involved. Second, This strategy needs to be used to create the actual change approach or execution plan. This plan will define how the change will be cascaded and implemented throughout the organization. For example, each of these principles were applied in a disciplined approach when a large division of the global pharmaceutical company embarked on a merger integration. Wait just a second. If they're referring to the same example throughout the process, why is the first example they made a 5-year plan to double sales, and the second time they brought them up, they said they were merging. They embarked on a merger integration. Those are two different things. What? This multi-billion-dollar company, operating in over 30 countries with multiple business units, needed a consistent and well-planned framework to execute the merger integration to achieve desired financial and organizational goals. Principle 1. Change takes place more effectively when worked at 3 levels: organizational, team, and individual. Organization. Define and communicate vision and strategy. Build commitment to vision and strategy. Ensure reward and recognition structures align with intended results. Team. Translate strategic goals to team responsibilities. Build high-performing teams. Address impact of the changes to work and the team, individual, leader, and employee. Clarify roles and responsibilities. Address me issues. Reward and reinforce intended desired behaviors and added values. Change takes place more effectively when worked at 3 levels: organizational, team, and individual. Wow. Other theorists have noted that change needs to occur at more than one level of the organization. One of the best examples is their guys' categorization of change stakeholders into strategists, the leaders who create the vision; implementers, the middle managers who translate the vision; and recipients who must adopt the changes. However, there is little attention paid to the fact that the implementers or middle managers may not have the same kind of leadership training as the strategists. Strategists are usually the top leaders of an organization. They may have direct reports, but middle managers, implementers, are more likely to be in charge of a team of workers and therefore require unique guidance on how to lead and inspire teams and individuals through change. Figure 2 defines the key objectives that need to be achieved at each level. The organizational level is where senior or change leaders. The word change is used so many times. I gotta see how many times. You've got to be kidding me. You lost my spot. 221. That was funny. 221 of the words in this article are the word change. That was funny. Man, why did you have to lose my place? Dang it. The organizational level is where senior or change leaders clearly define the vision and strategy for the change effort and determine who should be involved. These leaders should spend time defining a clear rationale for why change is required to inform the vision and thinking through what the effects of the change will be to inform the strategy. This includes determining the roles that different organizational groups or teams will play in the larger change effort. For the global pharmaceutical company, senior leadership recognized that integration success rested first with how the senior leaders defined and communicated the vision and strategy during a special international leadership summit. Top leaders were brought together to create one culture, align on business imperatives, and build trust amongst new leaders. These senior leaders left with a clear plan of action. And an implementation cascade to drive organizational change and provide tools for teams to execute the change strategy. The team level is where strategic goals are translated into an implementation plan. Middle managers must address how they will achieve the team level is where middle managers must address how they will achieve the goals of the larger change effort with their team. First, they must agree to buy in or fully accept the change vision themselves and then be able to inspire others. This requires accurately determining the change impact to their team and diagnosing team weaknesses and strengths. If they are given a new or changed team, they will need to be able to jumpstart or quickly build a high-performing team to meet this change and the ongoing performance expectations. Organizations often underestimate the needs of middle managers in their change planning efforts and fail to devote sufficient time or resources to ensure they are prepared to transition their teams. Change is adopted by connecting individual beliefs to organizational results. The individual level is where the personal dynamics of the transition should be addressed. Basically, individuals experience the same emotional turmoil they feel when major change takes place in their private lives, e.g. death, divorce, or relocation, and they can react in complex, unpredictable, and sometimes contradictory ways. The individual level involves addressing the me issues success will require clarity about an individual's role, responsibilities, and behavioral expectations. Be specific and identify behaviors needed to start, stop, and continue doing to be effective. Leaders at all levels need to address these issues with themselves and their team members. Leaders and managers also need to be prepared to effectively coach and reinforce behavioral expectations. Execution planning requires effort at all three of these levels. But it starts with strategic thinking at the organizational level. What? This section keeps going. To truly guide individuals through transition and produce desired behavior change, the organization needs to establish a connection between individual beliefs and desired organizational results. During the merger integration of the global pharmaceutical company, the senior leadership team dedicated time to defining cultural beliefs for the newly integrated company. This session provided the venue for leaders to move from talking about cultural tenets related to accountability and customer focus to internalizing these beliefs and aligning on actions going forward. With this client, the following interventions were incorporated to increase the likelihood of success and limit the potential for failure. Helping wait just a minute here. Wow, this paragraph right here, they put it a whole page above where it was written. Why? Just why? The placement of the graphs and the blocks of text are very bad. Whoa. Helping individuals to see the relationship between their own beliefs, how they act, and the results of the organization will support change efforts. and address any potential misalignment between an individual's beliefs about the organization's vision, strategy, and values is critical to changing actions and ultimately results. What is communicated about the vision and strategy may not be reinforced by what employees experience on a day-to-day basis. If this misalignment is not addressed, individuals will be less motivated to act in ways that will produce the desired results. Instilling the importance of leaders and managers instilling the importance of leaders and managers to create experiences that shape and reinforce desired beliefs. For example, if you want an individual to believe they are empowered to make decisions, they need to be given experiences that demonstrate their decisions will be acknowledged and respected even when a misjudgment may occur. Examine the factors or issues that help perpetuate undesirable beliefs. These may provide insight into what is limiting behavioral change and what actions can be taken to better align for intended results. Creating alignment between an individual's beliefs and the values and goals of the change effort ensures that individuals have bought into the reasons for this change effort. Senior leaders need to create a detailed vision and strategy that managers can use to easily determine the behaviors and expected outcomes from their team. Managers must then have the training and autonomy to shape beliefs and produce results. And I'm about to read something from number 3, but by the time I get to number 4, I'm already going to be way past this page and going to be completely forget about this block of text. So therefore, I'll just read the block of text now. I know that it's for section 4. Oh, this is funny. There are numerous ways that leadership needs to be prepared to lead change efforts. First, in order to sell others on the change efforts and manage them through the transition, leaders and managers need to buy it themselves and manage their own reactions to the change. This is why the implementation cascade is so important. The implementation managers cannot address their team's reactions and resistance to the risks and uncertainties involved in transition without also addressing their own. Anyways, now we'll go back to section 3. Stop. Change requires a plan and discipline. Implementation cascade. Wait a minute. Creating large-scale organizational change requires a detailed planning and a disciplined launch execution plan. To be effective, planning needs to be done at the organizational level by a guiding coalition or cross-functional team of senior leaders. After determining the change strategy, this group needs to oversee the creation of an organizational level change implementation plan. At minimum, an organizational level implementation plan should include a planned cascade that addresses at each level of the organization how buy-in and ownership will be obtained, what will need to change, and how individual transitions will be handled. Guidance for ensuring there is uniform execution across the organization. Failure to provide a consistent approach for leaders to follow means that managers could be moving forward in inconsistent or even conflicting directions. Specific guidance for how managers can implement change. Specific guidance for how managers can implement change with their teams. Establish clear goals on what each team must accomplish and how they are expected to contribute to the organization's overall success. Each manager or team leader must translate the senior leader's implementation plan into a local execution plan for their teams. The more direction that senior leaders provide in their cascade, the better those local plans can be. Efforts to align tools. That is incentives, performance metrics, and learning programs with established and defined goals of the change effort. A map conveying how information will be cascaded down through the organization and what needs to be communicated to whom and when. Creating an effective information cascade to the leadership ranks of the organization helps gain buy-in at each level and encourages leaders, managers, and individuals to take accountability for implementing the change effort. Wow, Sniffy. A plan for customizing the cascade to address subgroup differences. Most companies have subgroups with their own unique subculture. That was funny. That was funny. Wow, he's sniffy. Senior leaders should customize communications and tactics to help determine the message that will best resonate with them and the experiences that their team leaders can use. To inspire change beliefs. Circling back to our global pharmaceutical company, during. Oh, fun fact. This is funny. But yeah, this was the point where I came back after taking an hour-long break, I think, isn't it? Holy crap. Like, all I've done since then is read the rest of it. In the next 3 hours, I read from here to the end, created this formatting page, and then read through back to here again. That's all I've done in 3 hours. Come on, this is taking forever. Guess what, folks? This isn't even going to be the hardest assignment this week. Wow! This will be the third hardest assignment this week. There are 2 assignments that are harder than this. And in fact, the exam could be considered to be even harder because I probably have to read like 5 chapters for it. Gosh. Circling back. back to our global pharmaceutical company during the merger and integration. All of the above recommendations were incorporated into the planned implementation cascade. Leadership recognized the importance of dedicating time and resources to the development of change management tools and a consistent rollout. The outcome of the consistent implementation cascade led to over 90 team jump starts across the organization. During these sessions, each leader had the opportunity to convey with conviction the vision and need for change. As a team, they aligned on business priorities, internalized the cultural tenets, and began the process of forming an integrated team encompassing the new leaders, new members, new processes, and new priorities for change is accelerated by equipping leaders to lead through the transition. Wow. Providing a common change execution framework and tools addresses one of the critical gaps. That was funny. The 5 C's of transition leadership. This figure summarizes our recommended method of change implementation. Commit by owning the change and preparing to lead. Construct a plan to address business impact and risks. Create a high-performing team to deliver results. Coach. Direct reports through the transition. Calibrate to ensure success. Wow. It's funny. How far did I get through the article in 1 whole hour?